Are we're going to do a quick shout out exercise here. All right. So one of the key things that makes conversations go down the wrong path, or you don't get to the ultimate goal that you're trying to accomplish, if it's a raise, if it's to get your teen to, not text and drive, if it's to get your spouse to do that honey-do list, or your partner to do things around the house, it's really understanding what's going on with us. So what I'd like to do is we're going to answer, I want to do about 5 questions just for the sake of time, but actually this is a 20-question stress test. So I call it a shout-out exercise. So what I'd like to do is I'll read the question, right? So those of you who want to shout out true, false, whatever you're most comfortable with, and just for full disclosure, what's said in this space stays in this space. All right? Confidentiality, because if we can't be our authentic selves during these kinds of learning sessions, then it's not valuable. So, all right, let's get to the first question here. At times, I avoid situations that might bring me into contact with people I'm having a problem with. Who does that? True or false?
I'm going to say true.
True. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for your honesty.
Can you say the question again?
Absolutely. All right.
Say it one more time.
At times, I might avoid situations that might bring me into contact with people I am having problems with. True or false?
True.
True. No. All right. Very good.
But we have somebody who says false, so can she? Yeah.
You want to share?
I know we run the time.
Let's unpack that.
I just don't avoid, I don't have a problem with conflict. I've been in positions where I've learned to just kind of manage through conflicts I have with people. And so I won't let a conflict stop me from engaging and getting done what I need to get done. And I don't, like, if my kids are mad at me, we deal with it. And, I got over the stress of what it feels like to be in conflict, so I can be there now, and I can still be level, I think what I try to tell myself is that I always want to be kind and compassionate and respectful. And so I can be really pissed off, but I can still remember who I am, right? Remember who I am.
Her motives.
And I can get off balance sometimes, but I try to remember who I am and what I want to bring.
Excellent. That's excellent. And thank you for sharing that. I think she just gave us all 9 modules in that one answer.
I'm 57, baby.
Okay.
Wow, women in my 20s and 30s. Oh my God, right? If you pissed me off, I was going to make sure you knew about it.
Right.
Right? And I was going to be ugly about it or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to understand me better, make sure that I show up. And I don't let anybody else's anger at me intimidate me from showing up.
Excellent. And not all conflict is bad.
Right.
Very good. Thank you for sharing that. You guys ready for the next one?
Yes.
All right, let's do this. All right. I have put off returning phone calls or emails because I simply don't want to deal with the person who sent them. How many of us do that? Yeah.
To me, those
True,
go
false?
hand in hand.
True, false?
Both go hand in hand.
Well, I can't say that. What I would say is, sometimes you just don't want to hear, it's like a girlfriend calls you and constantly talk about her boyfriend for the 700th time, and you just don't want to hear it. It's
And you
not
said-
that you don't want to talk with them.
Right.
So, it's not because I don't like them or have a problem with them, so it's kind of an iffy situation.
But I think that's a good example. Maybe there's a crucial conversation inside of that you need to unpack with her for your friendship.
They do, but they don't.
Right. All right.
I feel like,
Thank you for that.
I feel like when it comes to like professional life and personal life, I feel like it's a difference. Like me, if I'm going to work and say like I have a problem with like a coworker, but I need to get things done, then I need to get things done, you get what I'm saying? And if I have to get an email, I'm gonna respond because I need to get things done. But if it's like somebody, like if it's like a personal thing, where it's like outside of work, where I don't have to really worry about the person, then if they do send me an email, I'm like, I'm not answering, you know what I'm saying? But because I don't have like a thing that I need to get done or like a connection to them as far as like work related or whatever. But if it's like something that's like professional that I need to, like say like schoolwork or work, I have to deal with that person because I need things done, right? So I put my personal feelings aside and just be business all the time.
I think that's a great scenario. Thank you for sharing that. You're keeping your motives up front. You're not letting anything get in the way of that. And that's good. That's a good practice. Thanks.
I said false. The reason why I said false is because things happen. Like, for example, my email shut down, and I had people like, I emailed you, you didn't get it, and they took it kind of like upset, or I'm having trouble with my phone. So it's like sometimes people can perceive that it's you who have the problem, instead of saying, hey, you might have technology problems, or something might just happen. So sometimes the other person might think it's just, when it's just a barrier. So sometimes it's a barrier that's stopping you from.
That is really good, and that just kind of really goes with how I kind of teed this up. The stories we tell ourselves, right? She's not responding because she's ignoring me, right? Or she's too busy. But in reality, you were having some technological problems, absolutely. And your friends may have been telling themselves their own stories.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, thank
I
you.
had that happen to me many times, so.
I think we all do.
Me.
All right, let's do a few more. When it comes to dealing with awkward or stressful subjects, sometimes I hold back rather than give my full and candid opinion. Well, I know who's not going to. Elder Leslie has no problem in that area.
False for me. And I think that's because of the culture I grew up in. So I'm originally Algerian, so Northwest African, and even just like the difference between Algerians and Moroccans, even though we're basically like the same, we're like neighbors, we're pretty much the same culture, we are very blunt, straightforward, I'm gonna give it to you, keep it a buck with you type people. Like that's just the culture, and it's like hard sometimes with my roommates because they're like,
Oh,
yo, like take it easy. But it's never stopped me because in Algeria, it's like if you are hiding that stuff, then this isn't a real relationship. If you're not willing to talk about this and nip it in the bud, then you don't care about me enough, or I don't care about you enough.
You can be your authentic self and give that authentic feedback to people. I get it. Thank you. Maybe we all should move in, right? Thanks for sharing that. That's good.
It's
Yes.
funny, I'm from East Africa, but we're the same way too.
All right.
But there's a different way, because I'm from the south of Somalia. So
All right.
the way we deliver our messages is always like, yeah, you tell the truth no matter what, but it's the way you deliver it, right?
Yes.
It's always the delivery. You don't just like, bam, you know what I'm saying? Like you don't just hit them with a hammer right away, you get what I'm saying? Like you gotta like talk to them in a manner that they also understand, that they don't feel threatened, right? That because you want to have that conversation in a way that they can get a lesson from that and move on and actually apply it, right? But once you are coming as as an armor, then I don't think the person wants to hear anything, because they're coming with an armor too, right? And they're like, I'm not even gonna listen with you, even if it's true. I'm not even gonna listen to it because the way you delivered it is not okay, right? So in our culture, like that's why me and her always like clash a little bit, because the way we deliver our messages is completely different,
Right.
even though we are in the same message.
Sure.
We're saying,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So and it's like also like a cultural thing, right? Like depending on who you are and your background is how you handle situations, awkward situations, or stressful subjects. If you don't know, like if you don't have like a way of saying it, like Elder Essie said, you have to map out.
Absolutely. But I think you all just identified a key element, respect. And that's one of the key components of this whole platform is respect. So thank you for that, yes.
So like, I had to kind of learn some of that stuff I remember my father telling me, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say nothing. So a lot of times I became silent in situations because I knew that what I was going to say wasn't going to be nice. But then as I grew in life, I understood that there were some things that needed to be said, and I needed to find a way to be able to say the things that I needed to say. So when my Christian walk, I learned about what she said, you know, finding a loving way to be able to communicate, you know, what I need to communicate. And then in social justice, it took me to another level in how I deal with people, because what I realized is that the conflicts will come up, but I have to lean into the conflict, right? Because at the end of the conflict, at least let's have a relationship left. If nothing else, let's at least have, you know what I'm saying, a relationship. And I realized that without it, you know, I can't get anything done that I want to do, because I walk in a room and it's full of people that I cannot stand. You understand what I'm saying? But they hold the key, or what it is, the resource that I need to get done when I got to get done. So I have to take out of my mind, you know, my personal feelings and put in front of me what it is that I want to happen. And that's how I have conversations now.
And like I said, you should literally be up here.
No.
Because the example that she just shared with us, it's called unpacking CPR.
Right.
The C stands for content, the P stands for pattern, and the R stands for relationship. It's literally in the book, right? So those are the things that kind of help you stay focused on your motive. Your content, the pattern, and the relationship. Because at the end, the relationship, be it in business, community, politics, the relationship is the most important thing.
Yeah.
To work together to get to the ultimate goal or the motives that you're trying, whatever you're trying to achieve. Yes, did you have something?
Yeah, no, I was
Thank
saying, I don't know how many of y'all are familiar with Sadie Stark. I know Lena's mother. So that's like my mom, and she's always collecting me. Like, she's just like, look, you're 23 and you pop off and you're saying the right stuff, but you can't, you know, there are a lot of spaces where you can't do that. And so, like, sometimes I'll just like be quiet and then just pop off in the car, and she'll be like, I don't want to hear this all the time either. You know? And so I know, like, even something that I've identified with myself is, you know, that creating that messaging, but also just like being able to sit and marinate and like not, you know what I'm saying, like be able to have a way to, an outlet for it, right? While I'm processing and figure out a way to construct that message strategically.
Absolutely, and again, you gotta find that middle place, because going to silence is not a solution. And literally, some people, as soon as you start the conversation, they immediately fast forward to violence. But the ultimate goal is to get in the middle, right? And you'll get there once you kind of practice these skills that we're going to unpack today. All right, let's do one more, and we'll move on. All right. When I've got something tough to bring up, sometimes I offer weak or insincere compliments to soften the blow. How many have been in a meeting or with a person that they kind of do that to move the conversation into a different direction, or to divert it, or to deflect it? Anybody have that? I'm sure you have back there in politics back there.
I see that.
Absolutely.
I see that a lot.
Yeah, I see it a lot too, because my job is pretty tough, and I have to have tough conversations probably every single day. And I know that even if I'm meeting with someone, I literally, I don't care if I've met with them 100 times, I literally write it all out, what I'm gonna say, what to help me stay focused. And this person will come in and say, oh, you know, I love this or whatever. They're kind of trying to go someplace else, and you have to have the practice to kind of bring them back in so you can kind of get to what you need to get to, and we're going to teach you that. All right, any questions so far? All right, did anyone get, just for the sake of time, what I really like to unpack is the life-changing conversations tool. Did everyone get one of these? There's actually two. I really hope we have enough time to walk through them both. All right. So, I felt that because of what we all do as political healers, this particular tip sheet and skill toolkit is something that you can kind of keep with you, right? As you practice having your crucial conversations, as you practice working on me first, as you practice learning what stresses you out in a conversation. And I'll be my authentic self. I'll tell you what stresses me out in a conversation. You know, I take my time, I map it all out, I know what I'm going to say, and the person literally across from me says, "What did you say? I can't hear you."
That pissed me off.
What did you say? I can't hear you. Or can you repeat that? So the best strategy for that is, how can I take a step back. Sometimes you literally have to step out of the conversation, right? Recalibrate and step back in. That's a skill that you'll learn once you start going through the book. All right, so what I always say is, can we take a minute? I want to really understand what I need to say or what I need to do right now to bring you in as a partner. That works. Because one, I told them I need them, and two, I want to work with them in whatever capacity that may be, with your kids, your significant other, your neighbor, your congressman. Sometimes you have to step out and bring yourself back in. Buddha says, think twice, speak once. So when you step out, you're actually thinking another time, and then you're stepping back in, right, to keep that person engaged. But if you're ultimately keeping your motives, whatever they are, at the front of your list. You're not letting your stress triggers overpower you to take over that conversation. Okay? So I thought we kind of walked through this sheet, life-changing, crucial conversations, how to navigate high-stakes situations. Crucial conversations are high-stakes situations. It could be about your job, it could be about your community, it could be about whatever is important or as a high stake for you. Reverse your thinking. You know, that's the number one thing. What do I ultimately want to accomplish? And a lot of times we go into crucial conversations with, I got my agenda, I know what I need to get done, I need this person to do this, I don't care what their ideas are, what they're thinking about, whatever. This is what I need to get done. But you have to take a step back and stop telling yourselves their stories or stories about them, right? Where they don't think my idea is good, or they don't think I'm smart enough, right? Or they don't take me seriously. One of the most important things that I really wanted to bring up too in high stakes conversations as political healers and as activists, and I'm going to call us changers and movers of the world. When you have conversations, have your facts. Not what I think, not what I know, have facts. What does that sound like and look like? I think Leslie Eldon, I can use that conversation that you opened up with. Harriet Tubman, she freed thousands, having hard numbers, right? Or let's take our auto insurance that we kind of bounced around the room a lot. You know, let's talk facts when we're having those conversations. In the state of Michigan, we pay a gazillion billion dollars. Whatever that number really is, you'll put that in there, right? Having good conversations, you gotta have facts. Even if you're talking to your kids about taking out the garbage, right? It's important that we take our garbage out. Here's why. We recycle. Here's why we take our garbage out. You know, whatever that may look like, have your facts. You can have facts for the smallest little thing, but that gives you what? A credibility. They can Google it. Whatever, have facts. No conversation is too small to have facts. So have your facts. That's the most important thing too. And then, as we self-reflect and build our skills, understand your emotions. Know what your triggers are, right? Because once a person knows that you're in a conversation and they can trigger you, they're gonna do that.
Yeah.
But I call it putting on a turtle shell. You know, turtles have those hard shells, right? But they're real soft on the inside. As women, we have to learn to put on our turtle shells. I wonder who told me that. 20 years ago. And that means being hard but soft on the inside. Don't let people trigger you, because once they trigger you, that's their power over
Yes.
you, right? They own you. They own you. So practice your turtle shell. Change your emotions. I tell people, if you really have to have a crucial conversation, if you have to sit at the table in that boardroom or in the White House or in Lansing, right? I tell people literally, go talk to the mirror. Practice a poker face or a Botox face. Whatever you need to do. Right? I'm not asking you not to be your authentic self, but we need to really learn to leverage our emotions, not change them or control them, but leverage them. That's a different word. Leverage them when you need them. Help others feel safe. One of the other things we're going to talk about too, but it's Series 6, is making others feel safe. That's really important, because if a person is defensive coming in, they're not going to talk to you. They're not even listening to you. So creating a safe space. When I have to have a crucial conversation at work, or even at home with my millennial who has literally wrecked 4 cars and I can't even afford a car insurance, I always thank her for her time. Even though I'm getting ready to step in the grits, I say, thank you. Thank you for making time for this conversation. What did I just do? Diffused it, right? Practice that. Thank you for your time. I appreciate that. What you have to say is important. They will hear you when
How
you
do
do that.
you move black mama out of the way? I just can't see, thank you for your time, and then get into grits.
You have to. That totally diffuses it, because they're already coming in apprehensive, angry, with all those emotions. Thank them. Hey, thanks for your time. I know you were busy. I appreciate it. I have a few things that I want to share with you, and I want to hear what you have to say. Yes.
Right, because I'm like elder, because I'm thinking of just the way our cultures are set up, and there's a very clear, distinction between I'm the parent, you're the child, and respect. I mean, respect ideally goes both ways, but that respect looks different,
It's like that.
right?
I understand.
And precedence goes towards respect from the child to the parent.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's rooted not just in our cultures, but in our faiths, right? There's scriptures backing that up. And so, I don't see my dad being
I feel like it depends. The first time maybe,
Yeah.
but the second time it's the third time it's okay, we can't. You get what I'm saying? So I don't know, how many times are you supposed to have that crucial conversation to people who, you being respectful, you being nice, you want things done, but there's times where you're just okay, I'm tired of this conversation.
Yeah.
You yourself get tired of that conversation. So where do I draw the line?
Actually, if you're having the sitting conversation more than one time,
Yeah.
there's a whole process. Because at the end of the crucial conversation, I'm going to fast forward a little bit, but by the time you get to step 9, you're on an action plan. So we got to do some work up front, right? Because the goal is to, when you have that crucial conversation, you let that person know that they're important, that what they're saying, but you need them. You have to work together to get to an action plan, right?
Yeah.
That was going to require follow-up. So it's a work in progress. But if you're having the same conversation about the same thing, we may need to retool that, right? You may need to step out of it and literally write down what you want to accomplish. What is my motive? Where do we need to get to? And what do I need to say or do differently to let this person know I need them to get to the end? Right?
And the reason why I said that is you were car wreck 4 times, and I'm so how do we get from
Oh, we can get there.
to better?
Michigan needs to build subways and mass transit. Solve all the problems.
If that's the case, say less on that.
I'll even start digging the holes and whatever we need to do. Right?
Might as well.
That's how we solve that problem. That's the only way.
Yeah.
That's the only way.
Yeah.
Literally. Because there are people that don't want to drive, don't like to drive. They have physical challenges where they can't drive and shouldn't drive.
Mhm.
So that's the conversation we need to be having in Lansing. Can we build some subways. I'm from Louisiana, and I'm gonna take a sidebar for a minute because it's something I'm very passionate about. She's not gonna like what I'm gonna say. So I have to step out of that conversation, and step back in. But I'm gonna just throw this out there, food for thought. I'm not advocating for it. I know that our prison systems are so broken. I know that they
Yes,
are.
it
They're
is.
broken, they're broken, they're broken. However, the ones that's in there, they can be building these subways. Give them a skill and a trade, right?
As long as you pay them.
It's,
Yeah,
exactly.
pay 'em.
And
Pay 'em.
pay them people.
Pay 'em.
Yeah,
Yeah.
equal wages,
Yes.
yeah.
I'm all for that.
Right.
I'm all for that.
Aren't they using the prison system already to?
Yeah, so anyway,
Yes,
so let's move forward. I'm trying to think outside of the box to get these subways built.
Yeah.
All right, invite dialogue. Remember how I said, open up, if you look in the box on this sheet, invite dialogue. You thank the person for the time. I fired probably in my whole career, probably a good 3,000 people. But before I start that conversation, thank you for your time.
I
Yes.
just want to say, she doesn't know, but she works in government as I do. I work on the federal level. And I constantly always say thank you. And even though I don't like some of their remarks, even though the Detroit hood side wants to come out at me
Say it
sometimes,
again.
with some of the remarks, I still say thank you. And I appreciate your time.
Yes.
That has gotten me more jobs, more doors open, more things that I needed to have done in my job, even though I may not like it. And then what will happen, it creates a door to have a conversation. Say, hey, check out this email that you sent me. What did you mean? Like I kind of throw it back in their plate. What did you mean? I didn't understand what you said. And from there, then I can respond back to that email. And then they might not even realize that they had said something that made the Detroit side of me want to come out.
Yes.
But if you know, so that has gotten me in many doors. Just saying thank you. And let me tell you, it takes everything. It has become a practice. It just didn't start. So, because before I would let them have it. And when I did that, more doors got shut than had open. As our grandparents would say, you can catch more bees with honey than with vinegar. Yeah.
I know because people used to tell me that. Because I used to be a walking ticket bomb. And when I mean a walking ticket bomb, I was mad about everything. And I had a reason to be mad. The education system is poor in my community. The people around me are killing each other. And not just that, I'm losing everybody left and right. So I'm walking around a ticket time bomb. To somebody, an older lady pulled me to the side, she said, pick your battles. Right? And what I mean by pick your battles, you catch more honey because you're a beautiful person. But you delivering a message wrong.
Yeah. It's
And I was ready just to attack all the time.
And you're going to the violent side. You
Yeah.
gotta find your way in the middle. I think you brought up a great scenario. Thank you for sharing that. You've learned to leverage your stress,
Yeah.
right? And make it work for you,
Yes.
right? Make it work for you. And that's the power that we have as women. Make it work for you.
Yeah.
Don't make it work for the other person. Make it work for you.
Because-
Thank you for sharing that.
Because through all the chaos, when I was getting angry, I was getting hurt. Blood pressure shooting up, everything was just all wrong. Until I had to learn how to redirect myself,
Yes.
challenge, say more kind words, because that makes a big difference. When you use kind words, it changes your whole mindset.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for your honesty. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of a little bit, it has to do with invite dialogue, but also goes into what we're talking about with helping others feel safe. So, like I said, I'm gonna be real honest because, you know, I'm trying to create that space here. I love my mother. My mother, God bless her heart, she done gone through so much help with me, right? And you know, I struggled for a long time with depression and anxiety, and it's something you still manage, you know, as you go along. But she's gone through a lot at the hands of me going through that process. And now that I'm kind of like out of that, you know, that roughest part, initiating those conversations again, it's hard because then it's just like I'm speaking differently now, and I'm not like, you know, attacking or whatever it is, or spinning out of control, and then it's like, okay, well, I also want to talk about the way you communicate with me. Because there are problems that I'm going through or whatever it is that I feel like you can fix on your end, or like talking about with my dad, and it's just like, no, you're the one that has the problem, right? And when we're talking about this thing of like, kind of how you said, thank you for being here, or thank you for respecting your time, like my parents, like I literally did that once, and my parents were just like, why are you talking to me like you're some like white psychologist that got assigned to me by the state, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm gonna step over here with you. Very cultural, trained, I get it. How you can have a great conversation. Thank your parents. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for getting me to this point. I really appreciate it. I want us to be strong as a family. I need you. They want to hear that. You need that. What can we do together to strengthen this family? Just put that question on the table. And then really throw yourself out there. What can I do differently to be better? Yep, that works. I've seen it work. Yes.
It's funny that me, I'm a psychology major, so a lot of times like when I learn stuff like for my classes, I use it on people, so that way like I keep it in my head. Like I would like try, because that's the only way I can learn and actually keep information in my head. So in order for me to keep that, I have to use it all the time.
Right.
So with my parents though, I learned as what's her name?
Rotation.
As she was saying, picking your battles, I learned that through my parents. So for me, when I know there's an argument with my parents, I pick my battles of what I want to argue about, right? If it's pointless, I'm not arguing. You know, I'd be like, okay, Mom, you're right. You know, you have the upper hand. That's what it is, and that's how it's going to be, right? Because I know it's not worth it. But if it's something that's worth it, it's always, I have to do it in a manner where it's safe, where they're not attacked, right?
They feel
And I learned this,
respected.
right, and I learned this in my psychology class, where I would be like, yeah, Hoa, thank you. Like I would tell her I love you out of nowhere. Things like that, you know, nice things to kind of let them know that, yeah, I care, and you know, I'm trying to be better, or whatever. Right? And then they're able to trust you more and try to understand that now you're becoming an adult. So I don't have to like, you know, argue with you all the time. Like now we can have adult conversations, like literally, and we can literally argue about politics and things like that without anybody getting hurt, right? So it's about picking your battles and understanding what you want and what you need. And if you argue about everything and anything, later on, even when it's
Well, not hopefully not, but
that, I mean, so, you know, so, but when you argue about everything and anything, later on when you argue about real life
it has
things,
no value.
it has no value. And no one takes you serious at that point, right? So for me, that's how I learned to pick my battles when arguing with people or arguing in general is through my parents.
Yes, and I think you brought up bullet number 3, because even parents, we want to feel safe in our conversations with our children. We want to know that, you know, you guys respect us, but most importantly, that you need us, right, and that we are a family. And I think helping your parents feel safe in that conversation is key. It can really change the dynamics and the outcomes of those conversations, absolutely. And in Right Dialogue, we walk through that. So let's look at some of these key results. I always like to have my learners, who wants to read the key results for me in that box? Nice and loud. Can I get a volunteer? Number 1, yes, go for it.
Key results. The number one person people most struggle to hold difficult conversation with is their boss. More than half say the effects of a life-altering conversation they've had will last forever. Nearly 2 in 3 say a conversation gone wrong has permanently damaged their relationship.
I can say that. I've had a conversation that has gone wrong, that has definitely damaged a relationship. You know, and I wish I would have unpacked this maybe 10 years ago, right? And that I probably would have a better relationship with that person right now, but I don't. So thank you for reading that. Anyone else have a conversation that you're still trying to recuperate from?
I did. I have some, this is the ministerial side, so I got some friends that were, they still are my friends. I don't know if I'm theirs, But so.
Thank you for your
Um,
honesty.
Well, one of the things I was trying to do is one of the things as being believers that we're supposed to reconcile, and that's one of the first things that we do. And as leaders, we should practice. This should be an everyday thing. This constant thing. So it was two leaders in a certain region. I traveled a lot in a region. They live in a region. They were fighting over stupid stuff, petty. It's just so petty. And so what I tried to do is, hey, let's get together. Let's have this conversation. And let's just hammer it out, forgive each other, love each other. This is my thing, I just love everybody. And so it didn't work out that way. And what the person felt offended, then they started saying, well, I did this for you. And I'm like, oh my God, this has gone left for real. And so when I told them, listen, we're not here to say who did what or who did to whom. But the fact is, this is what we're supposed to be. Let's get over this. This is too important to be in the kingdom, and we shouldn't be fighting. And both of them said, I forgive each other, but guess what? The relationships toward me, not toward them, they aren't talking at all, but the relationship toward me has changed pertaining to them, and just following a practice that we say that we're supposed to walk in. So what I have done, now, I can't be I can't be one of them, I can't, but however, I choose not to.
Right.
And so what I do, I don't shut the door, but just every now and then I'll reach out and say, hey, what's up? So I don't want that person to feel like, well, she got an attitude. I don't have an attitude. So I have had that, and to see that, it's shocking to see that is a very, very, very hard thing to do. Even though people say I do it, it's very hard. Not for you, but for the two people. And it's almost like when a girlfriend and a boyfriend fight, and you go in and try to be on their side, and then they get back together and they're mad at you.
Yes, yes.
You're just trying to do the right thing. So I found that is very hard. And so the question is, should I stop doing it?
Absolutely not.
I'm not, but it's just a question. You just have to find, I'm learning that you have to find a better way. I don't know if I did it the right or wrong way, but I don't know. I'm still tipping through that water just to find out, how can I have done it better?
And, I think you reaching out to those friends, periodically is very valuable, because it's letting them know, hey, you know what, I value this relationship. I want to step back in. I had to step out for a little bit, right, to recalibrate, but I want to step back in and build this relationship, or to fix or mend this relationship. Keep calling them, keep emailing them, keep sending those holiday cards or whatever you're doing. Believe me, you will get a call back. Absolutely. Don't stop.
Mine is a little bit different. Well, mine was my father. Okay. And my father sued me for $37,000. Car insurance. He's catching me riding dirty. But anyway, we had a car accident, and he sued me. And I was angry with him for many, many years. But he passed in 2009. And he the first man in my whole life that I had to learn how to forgive. And the reason why I had to learn how to forgive is one thing: he's not here to argue with. So I had to learn the challenge of forgiveness, because I couldn't take it with, he's gone. So I had to learn how to forgive myself. And while in the midst of me learning how to forgive my father, I learned how to forgive other people. So that challenged my life, because I was angry. I'm like, man, you hit my kids' pocket hard. I'm talking about hard. We didn't talk. When he got sick, they like, come down to Jackson, Michigan, come see him. When I did go see him, I'm like, but when he died, a piece of me died with him. But not just a piece of me died with him. The anger that I had within inside me died that day too. So just having that, sometimes that person is not there. And I learned the true meaning about forgiveness.
I think I'm going to close with that, because what you just said is so powerful. Even, I'm going to step out of the workspace and come into my family space and community space. It's like, when you're having conversations with your parents or with whoever, it's so important that you really think about what you're trying to accomplish, whatever that may be. Think about how you can let them feel that they're part of the process, that their voice is important and their insight and ideas are important. But not only that, you don't know if their person will be there tomorrow. So why would you want to even argue? Right? Because in 2019, anything is possible.
Yes.
And I think if we keep that in the forefront of our minds, because I approach my conversations with my daughter a lot differently, just understanding that dynamic, right? I might not be here tomorrow. How do I want her, what do I want my leg, and actually when we close this out, the last exercise is, what do you want your legacy to be in a conversation? When you finish that conversation and you walk away, what will your legacy be? Did she go to violence? Or did she just shut down and go to silence? Or did we find a happy medium in the middle where we both all agree on and we have an action plan and we're going to move forward on whatever we need to accomplish? So I'm going to end this here. I want everyone to, download the book free for Audible, start going through the chapters, but think about that. When you're having a conversation, even if it is at work, it's about your brand, your personal brand, right? So when you step out of that, what will your brand be? Is Anita a hothead? She explode under pressure, or she can't deal with pressure. She doesn't know how to communicate. The one I hate the most, they don't use it towards me, but I hear it. Angry black woman.
Oh, yeah.
I hate that.
That's my nickname.
I hate that.
Or trouble. When I walk into the room, they're like, oh,
It's so stereotypical because they don't understand the back work behind that.
Yes.
Why are we angry?
Right.
Well, I got 500 years for that,
Me too.
right? But we're not going to carry that, right?
She preaching.
Don't be that angry black woman.
woman.
I tell when I'm coaching high schoolers, high school African Americans, my Latino sisters, Muslim sisters, Shukran. I tell them, give them what they don't expect. They expect you to be angry. They expect you to cuss and put your hands on your hip, point your finger, and send that email in all caps.
I haven't done that one yet.
Right?
It's funny though, like,
It's about your legacy.
Yeah.
When you leave that meeting, what will your legacy and your brand be?
That's good.
Right?
That's good.
What will it be?
When you get to the next meeting.
Absolutely. Yes.
I mean, sometimes even like for me, the first time ever somebody called me that was like I was an executive board at my local mosque in Lansing, and I remember I was the youngest and I was the only black person there. And I remember I said something and I firmly believed it was wrong. So I said something and I didn't cuss or nothing, none of that.
Your passion came
You know
out.
what I'm saying? And one of the keyboards was like, oh, why are you so angry? You're such a, angry black woman. I was just like nobody ever said that to me ever in my life. So I was just like so shook because a lot of people always when they see me like, oh, you're so sweet, you're so nice, you're never angry, da da da. And the fact that somebody even said that to me
Yeah.
without me being angry at all,
Yeah.
it was just like,
In a space of faith.
yeah, in a space of faith too. So I was like, might as well send that calves in the email, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Might as well yell at
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
You know?
But you have to remember, when we walk into a room, that's our brand, but we have to change that. And by doing that is to learn how to leverage these conversations.
Yes.
Unpack these skills.
I have a question, and I still really haven't gotten this one down. How do you fix your face?
You can't.
I will genuinely be saying,
Alright.
psychologist here, she's always psychoanalyzing me. And she just like, number one thing
I
is
exposed
like, I will say something and I'll be like, for me, I'm just saying it. Like, it's no, like, I have no extra emotion or anything behind it. It's like, you look like you was gonna stomp
Right.
someone.
I'm gonna really take you to school. I'm gonna live in my truth. Can I live in my truth? Absolutely.
Please.
It's your truth. It's yours. It takes practice.
Yes.
My parents were Black Panthers. You would never know that. I've worked for Fortune 100 organizations. I am the last revolutionary. And when I walk into a room, no one knows that. It literally takes practice. It's unfortunate that we live in a world where we have to live two lives. We cannot be our authentic selves in the U.S., period. We cannot. So it takes practice. And if you want to go where they don't want you to go, you better practice.
I don't care if you gotta go in there. I used to go in the bathroom and literally talk to the mirror to be sure that my revolutionary wasn't coming out in that job interview. Okay, it takes practice. This skill takes practice. We all, everybody in this room could get an Academy Award. Am I not right back there? Right. I have to tell you, lately, I'm like none. Like, I'm just, you're just gonna get me. And we were at a dinner recently, having a political conversation about impeachment, non-impeachment. And this guy, this majority culture guy, you know, the person sitting next to me, she was animated, not angry, but animated, feeling passionate. No, because she was black, she's been an angry black woman, so don't say that. She was black. And so this is what she got. Stop it, just breathe. I went, what?
Glasses off.
I gave it right back. I thought, you gotta get this back. This is so out of line. Just breathe.
Just breathe.
She gets to be just as excited as you currently are. And she ain't telling you to stop it. You know, so I'm giving it back. I mean, there's times you gotta like give it back, right? And just mirror them and let them know how they come off.
I got friends that angry than me, so I'm like, come on, come to me with me. I need your voice.
Thank you for that example. And that happens more times than we probably want to think about. Yeah, but see, what I would have done, I would have said, oh my God, am I offending you? I would have gave it right back to her in my Becky with the good hair voice.
So like, I had this situation, they woke me up and they were like, we didn't ready to go to protest McDonald's, 5 o'clock in the morning. And we, get prepared and we, walk around McDonald's, we shutting down McDonald's. And this lady kept looking at me and I'm like, do you know me? And she did respond and said, because I really did, she wasn't making me feel comfortable.
Okay.
And so finally, she said to me, yeah, you're a savage. And
She went good.
well, she was very Irish. I don't know what that means going hood, but yeah, that's what she said to me. And all of the reverend and the elder, all of that got left right there on the street. And I was like leaping toward in her direction, and they caught me in mid-air talking about elder, reverend, you can't talk like that. I said, you been Lucia, and let me go.
See, that's what she wanted you to do.
Well, I did it.
I would have done this. Well, happy Thursday. I would have gave it to her like
I
that.
had to die that day. I couldn't have done that.
That's what they want you to do.
But see, this is the thing,
So they can
right?
clink you. Or
This is
sue
the
you.
thing.
Get that little letter in the mail.
It's some of us that made it over because the DNA within us wanted to survive.
Absolutely.
And then there's some of us that could not take the pressure of what was being put on us and jumped off the boat. I thank God for my ancestors who continue to fight, strive to fight, to live, right? So I could live. But I'm so glad it was not me. Because had it been me, my bloodline would have stopped in the Atlantic Ocean in the Middle Passage. And that's just the truth.
I know.
Because that's how I'm wired.
Yeah.
I'm wired like that, and the older I get, the more like, oh, we're gonna have a conversation. See, Terry know what I'm talking about. Oh, we're gonna have this conversation. There's no backing down or backing up from this conversation because we get ready to let you know. Like, I don't have conversations in front of everybody,
I'm gonna pull you to
but I'm gonna close the door.
Right.
And when I close the door, I don't care if you're a CEO, the DD, I don't care who you are. When I close the door, we're equal.
That's right.
We're human beings, and we can really talk to one another.
That's right. Look at
With
the
respect.
All
right, yes.
I just wanted to add on that about the legacy piece in the conversation, because I'm a caregiver, and my mother has dementia. And we haven't always had a good relationship, so now she has multiple health conditions, end stages of renal failure, cirrhosis of the liver, congestive heart failure. But she's at a nursing home and she wants to leave. And so my conversation with her almost every time I see her is, you got to get me out of here and get me into my own apartment. And that can't happen because she needs 24-hour care. And so I just had to come to a place where I didn't want to argue with her, and I was not going to allow it to turn into an argument because I don't know if that's going to be the last time.
Yes.
But my mother has been in and out of the hospital at least 10 times this year. So I try to always leave it at a positive point or just close the conversation and reroute her to something else. So that's something that I've really just learned how to do. It's important for me not to leave angry with her because we haven't always had a good relationship. I'm angry that she's, angry with me because she doesn't understand all the things that I'm doing. She just knows she's not happy at that place. So I just like to say, you really have to look at things in their perspective and see where people are. And I like what someone said about being compassionate and respectful.
Yes.
Because, that's what I want my legacy to be.
Absolutely. There you go. Thank you for sharing that. And you lifted the prayer. Absolutely.
So I guess because I'm all about, learning something and then putting it into practice, right? Tomorrow I'll be at this conference called it's like the Digital Inclusivity Conference. It's actually usually in Europe, and they brought it to Detroit for the first time. And one of the panels at the conference talks about Islamophobia, navigating Islamophobia in the urban space in the Detroit area, right? And the people on the panel is 2 white women who was conducting a survey or a study on that, and then 1 white passing and not covered woman.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No,
Ladies, thank you for letting me be with you tonight. It was a joy. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, see you guys for the next one in November.
All right. Right? And, it is unacceptable. Even if they were doing a study, keep them up on that panel, but it is unacceptable to have a panel about Islamophobia and surveillance in Detroit, where the nation started, where it has the biggest concentration of Black Muslims in the nation.
Send me there.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, and I know I'm gonna be there, and I wanna say something, and I don't know how to, because I'm in the audience, and I don't know how do I
How to unpack it?
How do we unpack this?
Well, let's get to why the whole purpose of the group cause. This is something that I get it. I get it. Think about why they're even having a conversation, right? But think about what you really want to accomplish tomorrow. What is your number 1 goal? What do you want to do? What do you want to say and what do you want to do? What do you want to do?
I want that the next time, if that conference comes around, or if there's anything similar like that in the city, that whoever is organizing, knows that they cannot make a panel or bring together a panel without including.
You want inclusivity on that panel.
But like specifically, just like if you're not gonna have, so people, don't make this panel or don't run it.
Here's the data and here's the information. We know this is where the nation started, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so back in 1930, was it? 30 something?
Yeah.
Okay, I've been to school. 1930. That's right, that's where it started. Give them the facts. Also, Michigan has the largest number of Middle Easterns, the largest number of Muslims outside of the Middle East, besides what, California, right? We're number 1 or number 2. Give them the facts, right? Not only that, add the economics on top of that. The money that spent in the community, give them the facts. Lay it all out. Say, all right, these are the facts, these are our demographics, you're gonna come here, you need to integrate with the community, right? 'Cause here are facts. Right now, this panel, it's not diverse. What can we do, or how can I help you? Because I got facts, right? Make this panel more inclusive. It is not reflective of the community that you're in. What can we do together to make this work?
Yeah, like, I don't know when you got that information that town was gonna be, or that conference, when it was gonna be happening, but that would have been like step one. You know, first of all, they're already showing you that they're not being inclusive in this thing, right? Because they didn't even think about you. Right?
And
They
that too.
didn't exist. Wait a minute, let me finish. So the second piece, after you shared that information, and they haven't like said, well, come on, let's talk about this and da 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 da. Then what you do is you enlist the help of coalition partners. Okay, this is strategy. You enlist the help of coalition partners, and once you repeat what you said the first time, the facts, and if it still doesn't move them, then, you know, you shut this shit down.
Yeah, it's not a venue for you. You're not representative of the community. You don't have all the voices at the table. We need all the voices. How do we get all the voices at the table?
Well, you had to shut them down, that's what I'm saying. I'm so serious when I say that. Because like when the Women's March came, and we had a conversation, and I was dealing with my son passing the synagogue, and I'm like, I'll be there. And then when they came in, and they were like, kind of saying what they were getting ready to do, and blah, 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 and I'm like, listen, I said, if you do not be respectful and include the organizers that have been doing the grassroots work here in the city of Detroit, we will shut your shit down. And they said, give her whatever she wants. Because I was there, I was present, and, you know, that was the conversation that, you know, we were having. You know, but it was still like a big push. You cannot go with one voice. So the conversation, right?
Absolutely. And not only that, I think what you just said is so powerful. Because in all that data, guess what? You have all those people behind you. And you let them know that. This is not inclusive. We have over almost a million, right? In my community. They will stand with me. And you know they will. They will stand with me until this is inclusive. Use your number.
And also another thing I just wanted to say, I'm sorry.
No, let's go.
But
You
something
guys
that's
leaving?
something.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Absolutely. Take care. Yes, yes.
But something that someone said to me was like, in order to bring change or to want change is to address things and make, like if the air is uncomfortable, people will get the idea that, oh, I'm doing something wrong, right? And I always try to, like I hate being uncomfortable, but it's true. Like when you are uncomfortable, you tend to think of ways to not be uncomfortable, right? To kind of be like, okay, fine, how do we fix this? Right? So when we have conversations like for that panel, in order for them to realize they're doing something wrong, they have to be put in an uncomfortable position.
Absolutely. And I think how she said the
Yes.
strategy, letting them know we got 1 million people
Right.
behind us. This is not reflective. How do we bring everyone into the conversation? I want to be a partner to this. Because if not, guess what? This is not the venue for this.
Right.
And I got 1 million people that will stand with me.
Right.
Are you ready for that? Because they'll show up
So it's like you said, violence or silence, and then it's in the
in
middle.
the middle.
So maybe we don't achieve what we wanted this time in that particular conversation of that particular conference, but next year,
You leave with an action plan.
you ready. Next year, you know you're mobilizing, and if they don't allow you to come to the table, then you just break the table, so won't nobody come to the table.
Absolutely. So when you walk away tomorrow, you should have an action plan. And they should be a part of that conversation, right? This is what we were going to do, right? Together. If not, then this is our other plan. How do you feel about that? How will that impact your business or whatever you're working to? What impact will this have on you? Right? So, all right. think that's a good way to wrap up. So, we're gonna unpack skills 3 and 4 next time. Download the book if you can. You can actually order it too on Amazon. You can get it as low as like $9.